why are we making a video on a game I'm never going to play? I just find this story interesting. First, the surprising or not surprising piece of the story, less than 3 days after Helldivers 2 announced they would begin requiring all game accounts to link with PlayStation Network, Sony rolled back their policy. The player base banded together and forced an actual change. I would think that the Helldivers community will walk out of this with a sense of pride and accomplishment. Let's get to speed with what happened. Five guys quit school in Sweden in 2008, formed a gaming company. That company became Arrowhead Studios. They released 4 games from 2011 to 2015. The game they released in 2015 was called Helldivers. It's also the first game they made published by Sony. Then this year, they released Helldivers 2. And from what I'm reading, I must be the only person not playing Helldivers 2. This again was published by Sony. But at some point before this game was released, Arrowhead Studios is told all game accounts will have to be linked with PlayStation Network accounts. This is reportedly 6 months before the release of Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 gets released and sells over 8 million copies. Account linking for PC users is set to optional for play, and the reason Arrowhead Studios is giving is server stability. Now, 3 months down the road, Sony wants all users to link their PlayStation Network accounts to play. Sony published this game. They're well within their rights to do this. People lose their fucking minds. Maybe it's the 5-minute inconvenience for creating a PlayStation Network account and linking it. Maybe people are just resistant to change. Maybe it's the fact that Sony and data breaches are the peanut butter and jelly of the entertainment world. Am I leaving something out? Oh yeah, PlayStation Network is just not available in 177 countries and territories worldwide. But it's not like they sold the game to those people. So the player base is angry and the game starts getting review bombed after community managers for Helldivers 2. These are Arrowhead Studio employees, in legitimately one of the most unprofessional manners, basically say, if you don't like the change, leave a negative review and move on. And so about 278,000 people take that course of action. Sony just pulls the game off Steam in over 177 countries and territories that don't have access to PlayStation Network. Steam breaks their own return policy and starts refunding the game to anyone that asks. And this is ultimately probably where the tides of change start to turn. When you mess with people's money, they start making decisions to protect it. And I'm sure as good as millions of new PlayStation Network accounts would look to whatever board or shareholders that Sony answers to, turning one of their biggest success stories of the year into an overnight flop probably stoked the fires more than Arrowhead Studios going to bat for their players. So throughout this review bombing of Arrowhead Studios games, their CEO becomes vocal about his displeasure for review bombing on Twitter and drops this nugget. He knew PlayStation Network linking would be a requirement to play. He was in charge of disabling it at launch. He admits to not doing enough to bring this to light. And when asked about knowing and selling to those countries, responds with a very blah, well, we don't handle selling the game. But it was server overload that essentially caused them to stop requiring the linking of accounts on computer. So disabling this feature, opening the game up to be sold in more countries, probably wasn't a con in his decision-making process. I'll leave you with this. Arrowhead Studios will probably skate on this, because they made something that millions of players enjoy playing. But remember, when you make a purchase of online content for a video game, you're at the whims of its creators, its publishers, and every exec down that line. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.